Kaladin Stormblessed. Surgeon, soldier, slave, bridgeman, captain, and knight radiant. Throughout the run of currently published Stormlight Archive novels, he's worn many hats and has had to bear the burden that comes with each. From his formative days as the young apprentice to his father, the town surgeon, to his life as the leader of the Order of Windrunners in the current iteration of the Knights Radiant, Kaladin has led a life of struggles, triumphs, hardships, and most notably, a deep and wallowing darkness. However, before we can begin properly analysing Kaladin, we must first understand where he came from and how he turned into the person we know him as today. Kaladin was born and raised in the small town of Hearthstone as the son of a surgeon. From a young age he was taught the value in protecting and healing life. This was in direct contrast to his desire to become a soldier, as his father taught him that one cannot kill to protect. When his brother was sent to the military, he volunteered to join up as well in an effort to protect his sibling. Unfortunately, his brother died while he survived, and he would blame himself for this for years to come. Despite his father's wishes to the contrary, Kaladin turned out to be an extremely skilled combatant, and he quickly rose ranks within the army. Being unable to protect his brother, Kaladin took it upon himself to protect all those under his command, and even went out of his way to bring in fresh recruits to his squad so that he could ensure their safety. This did not work out for him either, as his entire squad died at the hands of a light-eyed lord. Even when he was a slave, he tried saving and protecting other slaves in numerous failed escape attempts. When he finally became a bridgeman, these failures took their toll on him, and he very nearly ended his life in the honor chasm. Only through the help of Syl, his spren, did Kaladin finally manage to step away from the edge and turn back to the light. With renewed vigor and determination, he committed himself to protecting his bridge crew, and in this he mostly succeeded. He led his bridge crew from potential death to becoming the guard of Dalinar Kholin. He finally succeeded in protecting those who could not protect themselves, as he promised to do when he swore the second ideal of the Windrunners. But it would not only be those close to him that he would protect. Despite his utter disdain for Light Eyes and his specific dislike of the king, Kaladin even swore to protect him and others he hated because it was the right thing to do. This was what he vowed when he swore the third ideal of the Windrunners. Kaladin is essentially the very embodiment of what it means to be a Windrunner. He exemplifies their ideals entirely, but he does it to a fault. He constantly blames himself when he's unable to protect people, and the depression he's dealt with since adolescence is only aggravated when he fails in his duties to protect and defend. It is not until the end of Rhythm of War that Kaladin finally learns to forgive himself for being unable to protect others, though this doesn't mean he suffers any less from depression. It seems he's merely learned to better deal with the guilt he feels that exacerbates the depression. It's clear that Kaladin is a complex character that deals with a lot of internal struggle and self-doubt. And now that we've better established who he is and how he became the man we know, we can finally look into specific aspects of his character. I think the most immediately apparent aspect of Kaladin's personality is the duality of his nature. On one hand, he is a surgeon, sworn to heal and protect. On the other hand, he is a soldier, sworn to kill and protect. Though both are concerned with protecting, the conflict between healing and killing often becomes a point of internal conflict for him. Kaladin's father taught him and deeply believes that one cannot kill to protect. To kill is fundamentally against protecting. A surgeon values all life, regardless of whose life it is. You will often see Lirin, Kaladin's father, throwing aside all allegiances to save a life. He has no qualms with tending to and healing singers infused when wounded, right alongside healing humans. To him, no war or allegiance trumps the importance of healing and saving a life. This is a key value he instilled in Kaladin. Despite this, Kaladin is a natural soldier. He fights with more skill and natural ability than anyone else, and knows that there is value in fighting. He knows that in order to protect, there are times when one must attack and kill. He knows that sometimes a little blood must be spilled in order to avoid further bloodshed. These two values within Kaladin are often at odds with one another, and he regularly has to reconcile these opposing forces within himself. I think it can be said that Kaladin derives no pleasure in killing or fighting his enemies. He does it because he has to. He does it because sometimes there's just no other way. It's a solemn duty he takes upon himself in order to protect those he cares about most. We see the ultimate culmination of this struggle at the end of Rhythm of War. Kaladin accepts that he can no longer continue being a soldier. The battlefield has taken its toll on him, and he must now use this drive to protect in a wholly different way. He cannot be a soldier, but nor can he be a surgeon. Instead, he will help those, like himself, who have mental struggles. He will protect those who are a danger to themselves. Using the words obsessively protective to describe Kaladin could be considered a severe understatement. His ability to protect can sometimes be the prime motivator he has to keep going on his darkest days. Other times, when he's unable to protect his loved ones, it drives him into his deepest depression. Despite the duality he has faced in terms of whether or not one can kill to protect, the one thing that is constant is that one should protect. Protecting is key. Defending others is the main purpose to his life. When he set the ideals, he made a commitment to being the prime bastion of defense for those around him. It's a commitment he has staked his life on. However, this obsession with protecting others shouldn't be seen as a negative thing. Certainly it can become a negative influence when he fails, but it is ultimately what makes Kaladin Kaladin. And when he finally swears the fourth ideal and forgives himself for past failures, he begins to embrace his commitment to protection in a healthier way. Only time will tell if he will continue to blame himself for future failures as he did before. Before we continue, I'd like to ask that if you've made it this far into the video and you're enjoying it, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. I'm trying to make it to my first 100 subscribers, and each one helps me get closer to that goal. And I'd also like to hear from you. What is your favorite aspect of Kaladin's personality? Do you like his arc, or do you think he should have gone a different way? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, let's get back to the video, shall we? The swearing of the fourth ideal at the end of Rhythm of War is likely the biggest turning point we'll see for Kaladin in a long time. His entire arc until this point has been riddled with instances of him blaming himself for failing to save everyone. He bears the weight of all his past failures on his shoulders and feels personally responsible when he isn't able to save others. The ultimate culmination of this is when Teft is killed by Moash. This loss is so great to Kaladin, so crippling and debilitating that it finally drives him over the edge. Literally. We saw throughout the whole book how Kaladin worked tirelessly to protect his friend and care for him. He fed him and changed him while he was in a coma. He dragged him from place to place until he found a secure spot. Kaladin did everything within his power to protect the one friend who arguably understood him the most. And when he failed despite all of that, the blame and guilt he felt completely overwhelmed him. He finally gave in to the void of depression he had always felt looming in the back of his mind. No study of Kaladin's personality would be complete without delving into the crippling depression he faces on a daily basis. It is a core aspect of his personality. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he is only and purely a representation of his depression. He's definitely far too much of a three-dimensional character for that. What I'm saying is that his daily battle with depression, his constant fight and his determination to keep going, that's the core aspect here. Kaladin has suffered from depression arguably since his early teens, but it only got worse when his brother died and he became a bridgeman. He contemplated suicide multiple times and actually nearly did it more than once. However, he still kept fighting. Only when Teft died did he finally succumb. He finally jumped and allowed the darkness to consume him. But even after doing so, he did not fully give up. Following the vision with Tien, he realizes that he cannot continue blaming himself. He finally learns to forgive himself and realizes that he cannot always save everyone. I think that ultimately, Kaladin's story is about forgiveness. The conclusion of his arc at the end of Rhythm of War feels like a genuine change. It is a new chapter in his life, and I believe that in the next book, before the climax to the first 5 books halfway through the series, we will see just how Kaladin's arc comes full circle and how he proceeds. He has finally forgiven himself and has taken the crucial first steps to making a positive change in his life. Does this mean his battle with depression has ended? I honestly don't think so. I believe he will always have depression. It is not something that goes away, and it is not something one ever really gets rid of. But I believe things will become a bit easier for him. The darkness that once nearly consumed him will now be something more manageable. And this is all thanks to his forgiveness of himself. Realizing that he cannot save everyone and accepting the truth is what will help Kaladin move on. It will make the load on his shoulders a bit lighter. It'll help his smile come more easily. It'll help him get out of bed with less of a struggle. Forgiving himself hasn't helped him make a complete 180-degree turn, but it has given him the ability to more easily move toward that turn. Kaladin's arc is beautiful. Kaladin's arc is tragic. But in this beautifully tragic arc, at the center of it is the soul of a man who finally learns to overcome his own mind and move forward. It's the soul of a man who learns that to forgive someone else is a trifle, but to forgive oneself is monumental. I don't think that Brandon Sanderson has written any characters as well and as deeply as he's done in the Stormlight Archive. The depth he crafts these characters with and the symbolism that accompanies each is on a level that few authors in this genre ever reach. Kaladin is a prime example of this, and I believe he will be one of the most memorable characters in fantasy for generations to come. But, as always, that's just my opinion. What are your thoughts on Kaladin? Let me know in the comments below, and remember to subscribe. But this has been Raven, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.